we have quite a few people joining us today that will be new faces for the people who are attending this webinar. And one of the people that is going to talk to you for most of this presentation is going to be Roy. Roy is going to be talking to you and discussing with you about working conditions in the UK. Sorry, in the Netherlands. I'm very used to saying it in the UK. If you ever hear me say the working conditions and moving to the UK, I mean the Netherlands, okay? I'm just used to doing this for the UK myself. So it's for a few years, it's been ingrained in my mind. We're talking about the Netherlands specifically today, which is why I'm not doing that talk. It's Roy that's doing the talk. Roy is here on behalf of Yovema. And Yovema, you will see, is doing very, very good job and probably very unique job to support vets who are relocating to the Netherlands in terms of helping with establishing their careers, lifestyle, language, and so on. And you will see, because we will be talking a little bit about that. But the goal for today is to allow you to understand what it's like to work as a vet in a country like the Netherlands and what you could expect from working in the Netherlands and also living in the Netherlands, because obviously if you are working there, you're also going to spend at least a lot of your time in there, and every country is different, and we all know that when we go to a different country, we will also go through different cultures, and we experience different cultures, and we need to adapt and we need to adjust, and it's good to know what expects us. So before we get started, I also want to thank Roy, Kati, Mariek, Frank, who's also here, a lot of people from Yovema who have made this possible, and also who are going to give you a very interesting webinar. It's very interactive. It will have feedback and opinions of vets who have gone through this procedure, who have been helped by Yovema, and you can hopefully see a very good perspective and a very interesting perspective of what it's like working as a vet in the Netherlands. And considering so many of us are from the European Union, this is a very viable option for a lot of us to work in this field. So without further ado, I'm going to let Roy take over. As we were discussing just before, if you have questions, you can either put them on the chat box and I will bring them over to Roy, or you can wait until the end of the presentation to bring up your questions. Either way is fine. If you want, you can also unmute yourselves and bring up a question that you have, and Roy and the rest of the team will do their best to answer you. And obviously at the end, you'll have contact details for Roy and Yovema, so that you can get in touch with other questions that may need to be answered. So thank you very much for joining us. Roy, I will give you the testimonial. That's not how you say it, but I will pass you the baton so that you can carry on with this and talk a little bit about what it's like working and living in the Netherlands.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrea, for your introduction. Is the presentation still on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So these are the subjects that we are going to discuss today. First, I'll do a little introduction about me, about the company that I work for, and other guest speakers will also introduce themselves very short. And then basically we have three main subjects. It's about living, working, and learning here in the Netherlands as a veterinarian. So I'll be talking about that. And also another guest speaker, Kati, she's a Dutch teacher. She will also say a few words about the learning program. At the end of the webinar, I will show you what our program, the Yovema program, looks like. And then we have still some room for a few questions. And as Andrea told you, if you have any questions in between, feel free to ask them in the chat, and then Andrea can bring them up. That would be no problem. So my name is Roy, you already heard that. And I've been working for Yovema for over 2 years right now. I started here as an intern, and currently I am matchmaker. So that means that I am looking for veterinarians from mainly from Europe who are interested in joining our program here in the Netherlands. And yeah, I'm basically recruiting keeping in touch with candidates who are already selected. And I am assisting the candidates to get the diplomas recognized here in the Netherlands, finding housing, just help them to get adapted here in the Netherlands. So a bit of onboarding. Maybe Marike, would you like to introduce yourself very short?
Yeah, of course, that's okay. Ladies first on this side. Well, my name is Marike. Sometimes it's quite hard to pronounce for foreigners because it's the typical Dutch name, but I will forgive you if it's going wrong, but I would pronounce it as Marike. Also in Yovema, I am a matchmaker as well. Sometimes they call it the project leader. So if you see an email with that name, it could also be me. What I'm currently doing is more or less the same as what Roy is doing. Our journey is also quite the same. I also started as an intern here a few years ago, and now I have accompanied quite a lot of projects, especially also in veterinarians, which I really like to do in the past. And most of the time, well, especially also in the current projects that we are running, I am a part of our onboarding team, which means that as soon as someone arrives in the Netherlands, I will be there to arrange everything in the best ways possible. So that's just as Roy said, it can be like the things, housing, arranging things, but it's also important that you feel okay here. So I'm just there to support everyone. So maybe if you would want to be interested, you could also get in touch with me. I think that is just enough for right now. Thank you, Roy.
Okay, thank you so much, Marike. Kati,
yes, thank
introduce
you.
yourself very short.
Yes, thank you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kati Schiller, and I'm a Dutch language teacher, freelance teacher. So that means that I work for different language institutes and also for companies. And for the past 3 years, I've been working at Yovema and setting up an intensive language course for vets and nurses from all around the world. And I was born in Hungary, in Budapest. So as a young adult, I came to the Netherlands. And that means that later on, I didn't only become an expert in teaching this language, but I'm also an expert in learning the language because I actually went through the same steps as my students do. So part of me and part of my lessons is about how to adjust into the Dutch culture and also the frustrations, the challenges, and the joy of learning the language, which is also my experience. So I'm bringing that into the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kati. And then last but definitely not least, Frank, would you mind to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Roy, and welcome to you all. My name is Frank. Easy to pronounce name, as a famous soccer player called Frankie. But my name is Frank, and I manage operations, not only for vets, but also for healthcare from all over the world, like Kati mentioned. I also lived and worked abroad. So my experience is that the guidance from a company who is some kind of agency, who fulfills the agency function like we do, is very important. So we developed a candidate contact program, so to make everyone feel at ease whenever they make the journey to come over to work for the Netherlands. So I'm glad to that you're all here, and I would like to answer all of your questions and at the end of the webinar. So for now, I'll keep it short. I wish you all a good and interesting webinar.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Maybe what also might be useful is to tell something about the company. Yovema stands for Your Veterinarian Matchmaker. And we actually have 3 pillars. You can see them here on the PowerPoint presentation. And where most recruitment companies focus mainly on the working part, we also focus on living and learning. So I think a big difference between Yovema and another recruitment company is that we want to guide our veterinarians, the veterinarians that are choosing to work with us. And we try to guide them as good as possible, learn them the language, present them with housing, and make them feel at home here. And that's one of the main tasks that we are doing. And I think that's a big difference between us and other recruitment companies that are just selecting veterinarians to go and work. But we also have a bit more human aspects that are that we focus on. But we mainly select from Europe, and we provide a few profiles for our customers here in the Netherlands. Then let's focus on the Netherlands. This is a bit general information. And here on the screen, you can read several things that are relevant when you are going to live here in the Netherlands. So I'm just going through them one by one. The first one, Dutch people are very direct in their way of communicating. I'm Dutch myself, so it's not something strange for me. But what we do here is we are very straight. So our way of communicating is very direct. We say what we want to say, and we have a very strong opinion. And that can be a challenge, maybe, when you will arrive here at first. Maybe, Kati, do you recognize this when you came over from your home country in the beginning?
Sure. And I had to get used to it. But actually, the more experience you have with this directness of the Dutch, the more you like it. And that's what my students tell me as well, because there is no shushing and talking about behind your backs. It's just right on. This is what you need to do. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And I like that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a bit in our character. So most Dutch people are very direct in their way of communicating and in their way of being and living. And another thing that's typically Dutch, you already know, I think, is that we ride bikes a lot. So in fact, we count more bikes here than humans in the Netherlands. So that means that well, one person has at least one, often two bikes, most of the time for different purposes. So we have bikes to travel, to go to work with, but we have also bikes for sport and things like that, for amusement. And that combines very well with the fact that we are the flattest country in Europe. So we don't have high mountains to climb. We don't have hills. In the very south of the Netherlands, we have a province called Limburg, and there are a few hills, but mainly it's very flat, a lot of countryside. So the perfect country to bike a lot. We have a lot of bike roads here in the cities, but also on the country land. And foreign people always are very surprised by the fact that there are so many bike lanes here in the Netherlands and that we are biking so much. But it's our best way of transport, because it's a crowded country. That means that going to your work can take some time because of traffic issues. Or finding a place to park in a big city can be a problem. So that's why definitely for the short distances, biking is being preferred by most Dutchies. In the Netherlands, live more than 70 million people. And an interesting note is that more than 13% is foreign. So that means that I don't know. I think around 1.52 million people are foreign here, and we are very open to foreigners. We have a lot of guest workers here from all over Europe, and we do very well with them. And then the Netherlands contain more than 70. Oh, sorry, 70. Oh, my screen is blurring. Yeah, okay, there I am again. 27 million small animals. So that means that there is a lot of work here for small animal doctors, for veterinarians. And then the next bullet point is that we have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. There's not much to say about it. This is just a fun fact. Another fun fact is that we have a very great work-life balance. Dutch employers, I will also zoom in on that fact a little bit later, but Dutch employers find it very important that you're happy in your life. So we don't work to live, but we live and we work. That's one of the most important things in our work culture. We work to do nice things, and we don't work to live and to eat, but we want to work to do a little bit more extra in life. So your private life and your social life is very important here in the Netherlands. And colleagues and partners that you work with are also very interested in your personal life and in the things you do in your spare time. And then another fun fact is that we have a very advanced public transport and road system. We have, I believe we have the most highways in Europe for a small country. So that means that you can travel to any city within, I think, 2 hours. So if you don't have a car, there's a very good transport system, public transport system. And biking, of course, is also a great option here. Then if we look at living in the Netherlands a bit more detailed way, in a financial way, that is, of course, very interesting if you want to move here permanently or for a longer time. Before I will speak about this, I have to say that this is general. So it's not focused on veterinarians. We will zoom into that a little bit later on in the webinar. Because let us just start with the first part. You can see that the gross salary in the Netherlands is about 2,984 euros. And that means that the netto salary is approximately 2,292 euros. You can see here in the third box that says salary taxes that the percentage of that they have two boxes, two scales. That means that your income until 68,508 euros, you will pay a tax percentage of 37.35%. And most Dutch people don't pass the first scale, but if you do, then everything that you will be earning more, there will be a tax percentage of 49.5%. That's just for your information. And other important averages are about the spendings. And of course, it depends in what kind of city that you are going to live, or if you're living in a village or in a town. But the average rent for an apartment is 754 euros, and the rental costs for a house are 1,184 euros average. And as I told you, it's a big difference. If you want to live in Amsterdam, it's going to be much more expensive. And if you're going to live in a more smaller city or in a village, it will be a bit cheaper. Then you can see that there are also energy costs, of course, and they are around 135 euros. This is for gas, electricity, and water. Health insurance is mandatory here in the Netherlands. I think in most European countries, but in the Netherlands, it's also mandatory. And the health insurance costs per month. Of course, it depends a little bit on what kind of health insurance policy you are going to sign up with, but it's around 128 euros a month. The living costs, so eating, drinking, for one person would be around 195 euros a month. And then we've also calculated 85 euros for clothing. Of course, these are averages for Dutch people, and it depends what things you find important in life. But this is just to give you a first impression about how expensive or cheap life in the Netherlands is. You can see that from the average netto salary, a lot of you will still have enough money to live from. Definitely, life is good here in the Netherlands. And I think, yeah, then I would like to pass the floor to Kati, who's going to tell us something about her experiences and about her job as a Dutch teacher.
Yes, thank you, Roy. The Dutch language course, it's an intensive language course for 27 weeks, so approximately for half a year. And we have two parts of this course. The first part is going from 0 to level A2. It's going to take 12 weeks, and you're ending this with an A2 exam, this part of the course, writing, reading, listening, and speaking. So all the four parts of the skills. These lessons will be online 2 times a week, and it's 2 hours per lesson. You are still in your home country, but Roy will tell you more about this later. We are focusing now on the language course. The second part of the language course is going from A2 to B1. It's going to take a little longer because this is a bigger step, and you're also going to take part of an internship program. You're going to aim and reach by the end B1 level. You're going to take exams, writing, reading, listening, and speaking as well. These lessons are set up as well, physical lessons and online lessons. And the first 4 weeks of this course, it will be a little bit more intensive. It will be 8 hours per week. And the second part, which is the longest part, and that's actually the part that you are taking part of the internship program, it's going to take 4 hours per week, and it's just one time. So we come together once a week, and then that will be the lesson for that week. Which is extra for this part. While you're doing your internship program, we will provide you with a veterinary vocabulary, but also it will be a very interactive way. You are going to be busy already, so you're taking your things that you learn there, you come across problems, issues, words, you take it to the classroom, and we will discuss that. So that's a very important part of this second semester or second course. We use online platforms and as easy as possible for the learning, which is an online book, Google Classroom for a lot of shared information, and Zoom as the platform of the lesson. The lessons are very interactive. My students tell me, oh, are we ending now? They just, you know, time flies, which is nice to hear, because that means that it's also having fun together and working very hard at the same time. We do a lot of speaking in class. That's the focus. So the rest is homework, and speaking we do in the class. You will be amazed, but very soon we will only speak Dutch during class, very little English. And yeah, more and more we are working to that we only speak Dutch in class. Dutch culture, as I told you, is a very important part of the lessons, and it goes along. You know, we talk about food because we learn the words about the food, then we talk about the Dutch food, and we talk about a party, then or the celebrations, then we talk about the Dutch birthday party or the, you know, the important holidays. So it's just integrated in the whole course. I have a lot of online language games, and also for the physical lesson, a lot of quizzes, games, and things to activate you and to also have fun while learning. Dutch songs, actually, it's something that you will look for and show us what you like, and then we will sing together. There is a lot of individual attention, which is very important for me as a teacher, but for you as well as a student, because there are small classes. We have a maximum of 5 students in a class, and that means that all your personal needs for learning the language will be met. So yeah, that's a very important part, the individual attention. Teachers are available after class. I have a colleague, we do this together, and on WhatsApp, email, different platforms, we are right on it and very, very active in answering all your questions as soon as we can. I told you already during internship, we have a lot of practical veterinary language aspects that we integrated in the language course, and also inspiration for speaking at work and in your private life. That's one of the biggest challenges. What is actually very positive about the Netherlands is that a lot of people speak English. What it makes very difficult for you as a Dutch learner is that people right away switch into English when you start talking in Dutch, because they think, oh, I will help you. Well, you're a foreigner. I will speak in English because I know how to speak English. But that's not what you want. So I and my colleague, we are going to coach you and motivate you. We are trying to offer you language buddies to broaden your network and speak as much as possible Dutch, because that's the key success of your learning project of this half year. Also very important in the lesson that because we are a small group, we have a very strong bond together, and not only me and my students, but also my students together. So I have seen a lot of friendships going for a long time, maybe for life, and just created in the classroom. We use a blended learning method, which means that you are always one step ahead. It's like flipping the classroom, we call it. And what you are going to do is that you prepare for class in front, up front. So you will learn the new words, you will do all the exercises, and then you come to class, and then you do the speaking. Right, you can, yeah. So that's what we are doing. We prepare for speaking in class. Also, you will be doing all the grammar by yourself. In class, you will ask questions about it. In that way, you will become the owner of your own process, of your own learning process. You will actively ask questions. You will not wait until the teacher explains you something, but you will come across it already. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Self-study, I told you about it. It's a very big commitment. I think it's an intensive course. You need approximately 15 hours a week just for self-study, and not only the weekend, because you need the time during the week as well for that. As I said, you will do also the preparation for the new chapter, and I made something new. It's going to be an online portfolio that we are going to collect short, very short creative video and audio assignments. For example, when we talk about the food, you will make a short video looking into your fridge, see what's in it, tell us about it in Dutch, and then put the video on this online platform. And you will always receive feedback from the teachers on everything that you are making. We are working into B1 level, and I'm sure you're aware of this European framework of B1, but what is the definition of B1? It's actually a level that you are able to use the Dutch language in your field of interest, they call it. So that's the difference between B1 and B2. B1 is the field of your interest. That means it's about you, it's connected to you. It's also about your work. And B2 can be about any topic, open politics and difficult topics that is not very much of your interest. This means that on this B1 level, you are able to function as a vet, of course, with still a limited vocabulary, but you can describe things and you are able to understand what people are telling you, and you might have to ask, can you say it again? What do you mean? But you will get there. So that's B1 level. And then the language goals. First of all, I'm also asking at the first lesson, what are your language goals? So what are your expectations from this course? And then you will set your goals as specific as you can, what you want to learn, how you want to do it. Like you would say at the beginning, I want to learn every day 2 hours, and I want to learn so many words at once. And then at the end of the course, we will look back and see if you did what your learning goals were set for yourself. Of course, I also have my language goals as a teacher for the whole program. Speaking and pronunciation skills on B1 level, so that's the end of the course. People will understand you, your pronunciation will be good. Of course, you can have an accent, but that's okay. Listening skills, B1 means if you listen to the radio or you're watching a program or a video fragment, you will be able to understand what it is about and the main points. Yeah, so not all the details, that's B2 level, but B1, you will be able to get the information that you're looking for. Reading comprehension, the same on B1 level. Writing skills, you will be able to write an email, also at work, corresponding, and also in your private life. 5,000 new words, which is a lot. Probably you will be using 4,000 actively and 1,000 that you would recognize if you hear it, if you see it. Dutch sentence structures, of course, that's our grammar goals. The Dutch culture, you will have a good view on that. Reflecting on yourself and on other students, so you will be very critical about yourself and also about others, and that's how you will listen to the Dutch people as well, with open ears. Yes, that's the goal, that I give you all the personal attention that you need. And with that, I want to say that I see it as my task not only to technically teach you, but also to coach you and to motivate you the whole time in order to reach not only your language goals, but in order to integrate in the Dutch society and in your work environment. Feedback you will get. A lot of positive feedback, I warn you in front, because that's very important that you get the self-confidence to start talking. Dare to speak, be active is one of our goals together, and allow yourself to make mistakes. A lot of people are perfectionists. A lot of people in the healthcare are perfectionists, which is great. But you have to make mistakes in order to learn. So that's very important. I will tell you a lot. Be proud of yourself with every small steps you take, and having fun together, and learning from each other and together is a very good basis of learning the language.
Okay, thank you so much, Kati, for your information. Very interesting. Andrea, do you see in the chat if there are maybe some questions?
We have no questions at the moment. We did have a few people who have joined later, so I will repeat for them if they want to put questions during the presentation. It's fine, and we can do them as we are going through the different topics. But I'll let you know if anything else, if anyone puts anything.
Okay, so if you have any questions for Kati, you can send them in the chat, and we can look into that. But in the meantime, Kati, I have prepared a few questions for you.
Yes.
In your experience, what is the most difficult part in learning Dutch on level 0?
Yes, the most difficult part, it's actually if you know English, that helps already, and all of our vets know English who come to this program. That helps a lot. The most difficult part is, I think I mentioned already, is that people tend to talk to you in English, and you have to be the strong one to tell them, please talk to me in Dutch. And probably it's not what your natural brain is telling you, because you want to get through this the easy way. So, but you know, I see the success of a language course and learning the language in broaden your network and use the language as much as possible, and not only in class, that's not enough. And you have to take you know, the first step in that, because the Dutch people will automatically use English, and that's a key success factor.
Yeah. Funny that you mention it, because we often hear that if you already speak English or German, that it gives you quite an advantage. Is this the case?
Yes, it's absolutely the case. You know, the Dutch language is in the same language family as English and German, and especially German, because the grammar looks a lot like the German grammar. Yes, but it doesn't mean that if you don't speak German that you're behind or something. You know, English is already a very good basis, whatever your mother tongue is.
Right. And what if people who are listening right now, what if they are already interested, and what can someone do in preparation of a Dutch course like this? What can be done?
Okay, that's a very good question. I will just put in a minute, I will put a link in the chat, and it's a very nice, very interesting website that is set up by a Dutch language teacher speaking English to explain things, and there is a free course over there. There is information about the Dutch culture, the funny things. There are a lot of, on YouTube, he has a channel that he speaks to expats about cultural shocks when they arrived into the Netherlands. And I will just put the link into the chat in a minute, and you can check it out. It's very, very nice. And also for learning already some words and, you know, to hear the language, to get used to it.
Great, thank you so much. Could you maybe tell us something, Kati, about the variety of nationalities that you've worked with during your time as a teacher?
Yes, and not only for Yovema, you mean?
Yeah, just
Roy.
in Spain,
Yes, all over the world, really, from the United States to Somalia, Africa, Asia, Indonesia. We had a lot of nurses that are coming to the Netherlands and learning the Dutch language. And what interests me as well as a language, I'm very interested in, I like languages very much. And I make analysis of, you know, if you come from Poland, what kind of things that you come across when you learn Dutch. So I'm already expecting questions, and from the Indonesian people as well. They have very specific things that is difficult for them. So it's nice when you have experience of so many different nationalities that after a while you're aware of the difficulties.
So if I understand correctly, it doesn't matter where you come from, everyone is able to learn the language as long as they have the right motivation.
Yes, that is correct. So the motivation is the most important. Of course, it's very nice if you have good language skills. So if it was easy for you to learn English, that's a pro. That means that probably Dutch will be easier for you as well. But anybody really, I have people who have problems with learning languages, but if the motivation is on the right place, if you're open, if you're making contact with people when you are here, then you'll get there.
I also wanted to ask a question, because we have two questions in the chat. One of them is about relation between Dutch and French language. Is it similar, or is French quite different from Dutch, maybe?
Yes, for French, it's mostly about the accent and the pronunciation, because in the French words, you put the accent always on the last part of the word. And in Dutch, it's probably going to be at the beginning of or in the middle, which means that if you speak and you put the accent at the end, as you are used to as a French speaker, then it can happen that people will not understand what you are saying. And I mean, that's a pity because you're using the right words, you're saying the good sentence. So we will do extra exercises about the pronunciation, but it's absolutely possible. And you know, every person, I mean, I can generalize, but it's not really the case. So everybody is different.
Yeah. Someone else also asked you specifically for you, what you found as the greatest challenge when teaching foreigners?
Yeah, I like helping everyone and treating everyone on the same level. And of course, you have students who are asking for more attention, and then maybe I give them more attention. So that's for me as a language teacher a big challenge to you know, also the ones who are a little bit shy, and to get them also as just as far and just as active as the ones who are shouting a little bit louder. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Earlier, Kati, we discussed that you entered the Netherlands as a foreigner. What do you think? What do you think is the most positive thing about the Netherlands in your experience?
The most positive is the openness of the Dutch people and the tolerance of the Dutch people. So as a foreigner, you don't feel really a foreigner. People are very open to you, and they accept you as you are and where you come from. They are very interested, asking a lot of questions. And I really like that. I have never felt like discriminated, never, but even, you know, that they treated me different, never. Which I think it's the greatest thing about living as a foreigner in the Netherlands.
And if you can choose one more negative part about the Netherlands, what would you change?
A negative part. Yes. Okay. So maybe I would give this example that if I want to make an appointment with my friends, and these are good friends of mine, it can happen that they tell me, okay, we can meet up in 5 weeks from now. And I'm thinking, I want to see you now. I want to see you tomorrow. I want to see you this week. It's not happening. I mean, a lot of times the agenda is very important for the Dutch people, and they, you know, so there is a strange connection, or there is a strong connection, I mean, but still, yes, they like to plan things ahead, and that's something I would love to change just a little bit.
Yeah, interesting. It's also a nice bridge to the next subject. Or Andrea, do you have some questions in the chat left? No?
Actually, someone just popped a question now. So this is probably someone that has joined in the middle, because one of the questions is about the salaries. We've already covered the salaries, but there's a part after that. And question for you: do you think the Netherlands needs vets coming over?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. There's a shortage here in the Netherlands. So we're always looking for vets, more specified profiles, but also vets in general. So yeah, there's a shortage, just like in the UK and other more Western European countries. There's definitely a shortage. So we are looking for vets. Yes. Okay. If there are no more questions, we will move on to the next subject, and that's about the working culture. Like Kati was saying, we like to plan things, and we like to work in an organized way. And that might be a difference from the country where you are from. So when we say something is going to start at 2 o'clock, it will start on 2 o'clock and not 10 minutes past 2 or something like that. So we are always on time. Another big difference with other cultures is that we have very short lunch breaks. We don't go out for lunch. Well, not that much. It might happen sometimes, but most of the time we just eat behind our desk and we have like a 30 minutes lunch break. Some companies offer 1 hour lunch break, but like Italy, the lunch break is the most important part of the day, and here in the Netherlands, that's quite different. But we have something called the vrijniveau, that means Friday afternoon drink, and that's also something typically Dutch. And what it means is that a lot of companies here in the Netherlands, they will shut down at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and everyone is being invited to catch a drink together and just to enter the weekend, talk about the work, but also talk about more private things. And it's a typical Dutch thing here on in Dutch working culture. We already discussed that we are very direct, but what's good to mention is that we are also very friendly. Maybe you already heard it from Kati, and she was just saying that we are always trying to help people, but in a very direct way. More on the practical side of our working culture, a normal workday here in the Netherlands is around 8 hours. So it's starting 8:30, between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, and finished between 5 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. The most common full-time work week is 40 hours a week. And of course, there are all kinds of different options to work part-time, full-time. But according to Dutch law, you are not allowed to work more than 45 hours a week if you're going to work for an employer. Also, something that's typically Dutch, and that is for instance, very different than Germany or Belgium, is that we have a very open work culture with a little hierarchy. So that means that that you can speak with the manager anytime you want. You don't have to go layer by layer, but you can speak to a director of a company in a very easy way. Of course, it depends on on how big the company is, but definitely in more smaller companies, you can always give your own opinion. It will be listened to, and it's not always a situation that your manager is always right and you have to listen to the manager all the time. No, your own opinion matters, and that's something that's being valued here in the Netherlands, and that's a part of our open work culture. And as Kati also was saying, that we are trying to help foreigners with their way of communicating, because in the Netherlands almost everyone speaks English, and that can be a problem if you want to learn the language, but of course it's also a benefit if you want to talk about important things and you speak English already. Then that's an advantage here in the Netherlands, because we communicate a lot in English. Before the webinar started, I asked some questions to our vets who already joined our program. Unfortunately, they could not attend the webinar, so I got their information, and I'm here to point out their answers. And the things that they had get used to in the beginning was that in the veterinarians have to be able to work on all days and different time slots. Of course, it does not mean that you have to work seven days a week, but irregular shifts and working in irregular shifts is something that is happening very often. So you have to think about working in night shifts or day shifts, but early morning shifts is also possible. And that means that there's not a very structured way of planning your work as a vet. Of course, the schedules are being made weeks or even months before you have to go to work. But it is expected from you that you can work irregular. What they find very important is communication. They told me that it's very important that if you enter the Netherlands, but I think the same goes for any other country, that being part of some kind of group for socializing is very important. If you're new in the country and you have no one to socialize with, it can be very hard to get adapted here and you can feel lonely. So that's why seeing people, being part of an organization is very important. And I think Yovema always gives you this opportunity, because if you are starting up with one of our programs, you'll always be part of a Dutch class. And this is a small group, 4 or 5 people, but they are in the same situation as you are from. To give you an example, right now, next week we are starting with a group of 4 people. One is from Poland, one is from Italy. We have a girl from Spain and from Slovakia. So these are 4 different nationalities. They are all in the same situation and they will be very close with each other. So yeah, socializing is important, and there's always an opportunity to do it, so you don't feel lonely and you can get adapted here in the Netherlands very soon. The vets that I interviewed for this webinar also gave some answers about the client experiences that they had with clients when they first came here. There was a funny aspect that they mentioned, and they called it Dr. Google. This means that pet owners here in the Netherlands, they will Google the problems that their pets are having, and they will come by to the animal clinic, and it almost seems like they know it better than the vet. So as a vet, you have to be prepared for all kinds of questions, because Dutch pet owners they think they know better. So you have to convince them about what you are doing and why you are doing it. The why is very important. They don't mind spending money on their pets. It's something that we hear very often from foreigners who are joining our program, that one of the main reasons why they want to move abroad is that they don't have the money, or the pet owners don't have the money to perform simple surgeries or things like that could save the lives of small animals. But here in the Netherlands, that's not a problem. People want to spend money for their animals because they want to take care of them. Pets are very important. So yeah, Dr. Google definitely has a role here in the Netherlands, but the benefit that comes with it is that people care for their animals, people care for their pets, and that's something that the vets that I've spoken with love about their work here, and it's something that they didn't have while they were working, for instance, in Poland or Slovakia. That's where these vets were coming from. And we also they also told me that there's always room for personal development, more than in the clinic where they used to work. And the reasons they gave me for that is that there is some kind of corruption in for instance, Poland or Slovakia, that can make it difficult for someone to develop himself, because then it would mean that the vet in place would be the same rank as the manager. And here in the Netherlands, improvement and personal development are very important. We provide all the modern techniques that make it possible to learn new things and to improve the healthcare situation of the small animals here in the Netherlands. So yeah, personal development is a very big issue that we can give you, that we can provide you. Are there no questions, Amraya? Because then I will move on.
We have one question, but I'm going to leave it to the end because it's about people who don't have the European degrees recognized. So I think I was going to leave that to the end.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Then we are almost...
One more question. This is important. Joanna is saying that you mentioned in the Netherlands, there's a lot of communication going on in English. Does that mean there is also communication in English with the clients?
Good question. You will see that the most pet owners speak English, but it's definitely recommended that you will learn Dutch, because of course there might be a situation in which English is not sufficient enough. Definitely when you have to explain more advanced situations, then English is not going to be good enough. And if you want to get personal with a pet owner, then Dutch makes it way more easy, of course. But yeah, so the answer is yes and no. Yes, they speak English, but to get to know the problem and to build up a relationship with the pet owner, Dutch is needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and in addition to that, maybe if I'm allowed to, I don't know, Roy and Andrea, is what I know is what we think is very important, that if someone comes to the vet with their pet, with their animal, they are of course very worried, and people who are worried and being stressed do not, most of the time, not really feel like speaking in a different language.
Yeah.
So that's why what you can see right now on the sheet, we first have like in this program an internship part, and in an internship part, of course, you get all the time to learn the language and to develop that step, like the in between Dutch and English, you know, when you sometimes will need to use the English words, but we'll make sure that in the moment that you are working like independently, so only from level B1, you will be able to do those conversations in Dutch. So as long as your Dutch is not good enough to do like a conversation on your own, we won't let you. So that is something that I would like to add.
Yeah, thank you. It actually ties in quite nicely with another question that has been put down, which is, in a situation where you are not able to learn the Dutch language within this timeline, does it mean that you cannot practice as a vet?
The short answer is yes, because the clients that we work for, that they demand that someone has at least a B1 level Dutch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll leave the other one for the end.
Okay. Perfect. We are almost at the end of the webinar, and the last part is about our Yovema program, and that is the program that we are running right now. And we are still looking for vets who are interested in joining this program. So I'm just going to lead you through this process. We already mentioned short parts of it. But if you're going to start with the program, then the first 10 weeks will be Dutch training. It will be from your home country, so online. Kati already mentioned it very shortly. And then the last week 11 and 12 will be about the exam. So then you will get the A2 level. Then you will take the flight to the Netherlands, and then the next phase will begin, and it will be to get your Dutch level from A2 to B1. And this will be more physical, so you will be more in class with your other classmates. And during this period, also the internship will start. For the internship, it's not necessary that you speak Dutch already, but the internship is just about getting to know the company that you're going to work for, to see what the Dutch working culture is like, what maybe different techniques are being used here. So it's just about getting adapted here in your personal life, but also in your working life. And then after half a year, so after 26 weeks, there's still an option to get your Dutch level from B1 to B2, but B1 is the end goal. And on the next sheet, we have a more detailed path. You can also see that we are guiding everyone who is joining our program very well. So after you successfully graduated from the A2 test, you will receive a bonus payment of 500 euros. And then you will come here to the Netherlands. You can see that the first 3 weeks are mainly about getting adapted here. So the internship has not been started yet. And you will receive an allowance of 200 euros a week just to do the groceries and things like that. Housing will be provided by Yovema in collaboration with the company that you're working for. And then starting from week 16, the internship will start. So then you will combine the Dutch course with working. And then at first you will start with 8 hours a week to go to work, to follow the internship. And then we will build it up. If you look at week 18, 19, 20, it will be 16 hours a week. And then the last period of the language course, you were already able to work 24 hours a week. You can see that during this internship combined with the Dutch course, that you will also receive a salary, you will receive housing or housing allowance if you want to choose your own apartment. Of course, that's no problem. And then you will receive a housing allowance, so you can choose to get the allowance, but then you have to find your own apartment, or you can live in one of the apartments that are being provided for you. You will also receive a car that's being provided by the company at Yovema. So that will make you, that will give you a little bit more freedom and mobility. And as you can see, when you're going to work more, so if the internship hours are growing, the salary will also be growing with that. And then after 26 weeks, these are the working conditions for our program when you're finished with the Dutch course. So that means that the gross salary is 3,449 euros. Based on a 40-hour work week. There's also an option in which you choose to work 24 hours a week. And in that case, the salary is 2,069 euros a week. And in this case, you can also choose to travel between your home country and the Netherlands. And if that is the case, if that has your preference, you will work for 2 weeks in a row for 48 hours a week, and then you will be 2 weeks off. So then you will have an average of 24 hours a week, and the same salary comes with it. What is important to mention that the salaries that I am mentioning right now are without the allowances that you will receive for working irregular shifts. So on top of the salary that's on the screen, you will receive between 25 and 33% of the monthly salary because you will be working night shifts or you will be working weekend shifts. And for that, you will receive an allowance. So that makes it very interesting, and salary will rise with almost 1,000, maybe 1,500 euros. So that even makes it more attractive. A car is still provided. You can still choose to live in the apartment, but then rental costs will apply, and you will receive 25 days of holiday a year. You can see there in the beneath the table that gross salary in the first year is around 30,000 euros. And this includes the allowance, and it also includes the half year that you will be training, that you will be learning Dutch. And in the first half year, the income is a bit lower, and you can see that when you are working in the second year. Of course, in the second year, you don't have the Dutch course anymore, so then you will be working full time for the whole year. Then the salary will rise to around 45,000 euros a year, also including the allowance for working irregular shifts. So these are the working conditions that come with our program. If you're interested, you can send us an email. Email address will be here at the end of the presentation, and I can discuss this program with you in a more detailed way in a one-on-one conversation. But this is just for your information. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to the webinar. We still have some time left for some questions, I think. So
yes, and we do have 2 questions. I'm going to just share my screen for a second, because I'm going to put down the QR code, but also the contact details for you.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So we have them here. And I think, so we have a few people here who are not from Europe. And I think it is important to explain as well some of the requirements that we have here in Europe for eligibility for work. So one of the questions we had was from a vet from Albania. So it is within Europe, but it's not within the European Union.
Yeah.
And what would be the steps to have the degree recognized? And I think it's interesting because I think Albania has some mutual recognitions within other European countries, and that can make it possible to do it in a fairly straightforward way. The other question we had is from people who are not within Europe, and how is it possible, or is it possible for them to have an opportunity in the Netherlands, because it's obviously different and complicated. So we have 2 questions for those within Europe, but not necessarily from a member state, like the Albanian, one of the vets specifically from Albania. And then we have vets from Africa and Asia.
Yeah, thank you. The difficult part is that to get a working visa here in the Netherlands, you have to have at least a passport or nationality from a European Union country. So that is the case. So if you're interested in joining the country, then the program that we provide, you have to possess a nationality from the European Union country. If you're from the European Union, but you graduated from university that is not in the European Union, then there are still ways to get the diploma recognized. If we start on time with the diploma recognition, then it can be done. It takes a little bit more effort than if you graduated from a European Union university, but it shouldn't be that much of a problem. It might be that you have to perform some kind of assessment, but we have had similar situations in the past, and these diplomas were getting recognized, but it took a little bit more time and more effort.
Is there so this is a problem, and not a problem, it's how it's been working in most countries as well, where for you to be able to work as a vet and get, of course, your visa to work as a vet, you need to be registered to work as a vet. which is similar in the Netherlands. There is also a register for vets there. So unless the degree is registered, we cannot practice as vets.
Yeah.
Now there is this. I don't know if this is a situation in the Netherlands or not. In other countries, when your degree is not registered, you cannot apply for a visa because you are not eligible to work because you are not registered as a vet. So you cannot apply for a work visa as a vet. Now, there are countries that allow vets to take a specific exam. And then if they take the exam, they can then register as vets, and that enables them to get the visa. Is this also the case in the Netherlands? Do you know?
No, what we do for this program is we only select people that are from the European Union, and the recognition for the diploma already starts during the language course. So that means that people are not here, they are still learning Dutch from home, and in this period, so 12 weeks, we already gather all the documents that we need to do the application in the for the register, and then we will have the recognition on time. And even so, during the internship, the diploma does not. It's not mandatory that the diploma is being recognized, but if you're going to work on yourself full time, the diploma has to be recognized, of course. So that is why we start very early on in the process with getting the right documents and sending them over to us. So what I do is I help the candidates with gathering the right documents. I will check them, I will review them online by email. And then if I have the feeling that these are the documents that we need, I will ask you to send over the documents to our office, and I will do the application for you. And for the group that is going to start next week, this worked just perfectly. We already have 2 of the 4 candidates that are registered in the register before they are even before they started with the language course. So if you're from the European Union, it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's always a big issue in most countries as well, because the goal of the European Union is to facilitate things within the European Union. So we're all equal within the European Union, and we all have that ability. And it's the same for all the other countries. If you work in the Netherlands, you can work in Portugal. If you work in Portugal, you can work in Spain. The recognition process is easy, but from what you're telling me, it can be very fast as well, which is good.
After the application was done, it took them 2 days to get the diploma recognized. So
so it's quite fast.
What might be good, if I may add something, is like, so in summary, it is like we have to deal with 2 things. One is, can you live and work in the Netherlands? That really has to do something with your visa, which means that if you want to apply through us, you need to be from the European Union. Well, if you arrange somehow by yourself that you can live and work in the Netherlands, that might be a different option. So please keep that in mind for maybe our non-European Union guests here. And the second thing is like, can you work as a vet? So the veterinary registration, that's the second part. And that actually more or less has to deal with and your nationality, but also with where you graduated. So that is then more important. And then it's exactly as Roy said, most easily is if you are from the European Union, then we can most of the time make your diploma get recognized automatically. If you're not from a European Union, it could take a bit longer. So suppose that I don't know who is exactly from which nationality here, but if you would like to apply and you are not from the union, you could try to already start by applying things for yourself and then contact us. But it's not what we are specialized in. So we do not want to make you happy, take a risk, and then need to tell you that it's not going to happen. So that's how it works.
It is, like you were saying, very similar to what happens in most other countries, where your right to work is not the same as your right to practice your profession. So, and you need both of them, and they're different. So, and that's just how society's been working, unfortunately, in some cases, and fortunately in a lot of other cases. So, and so it is basically possible for vets, even if they're vets from different nationalities, but already, for instance, living in the Netherlands, that they can go through something like this because they already have the right to work in the Netherlands. And if their degree is recognized, then they can also work through that. So I wanted to first of all thank you all again. Thank you for the webinar, for making it so interactive and having so many people joining us and having so much feedback. I want to make sure that everyone that is watching also has access to the contact details for Roy, and pay attention to the fact that the email, it's roy@yovema.com and not uvema.com. I don't know if the Yovema works or not, but it's still Yovema. You will have these available as well with the recording. So when I put the recording for the webinar on the website and on the YouTube channel, I will make sure that the contact details are also there at the bottom. And for those of you who are in the UK, actually, I don't know if we have anyone from the UK here today. But if you are in the UK and you were planning on doing some sort of career development for your CPD, this can count for your CPD requirements, and you've got a QR code that you can use for the app where you track it with some questions for reflection in your case and in your situation. If not, if you are just from other countries that don't use that and you like some sort of certificate of participation, I'll be sending an email in the next couple of days to ask whether you need one or not, so we can make one for you. Roy, for those of you who are all eligible, or those of you who are reviewing the webinar later on, and you want to know more about this, there are some vacancies available for the program in the Netherlands that Roy is in charge of, and he'll be very happy to hear from you. You can also, of course, contact me, but you've got Roy's contact here directly to ask more questions, things that haven't been properly explained or that you still have questions about. Like I said, to Roy and the team and a lot of vets I've spoken with as well, it is not common to find a program like this. And this is a very well designed program that I think if you are considering moving abroad, it will approach and will provide support for the most complicated steps of moving abroad. So for those people who are considering it, don't be scared about learning a new language, because we've all learned more than one language, most likely. And we can all do it. But if you think that this is viable, the location of the Netherlands is a great location within Europe. It's very close to both the north and the south. It is a very small country, but a very good, well, small country, smaller than other European countries around. But it is a very good and interesting country to live in. You've got a bit of experience about the culture already. I'm sure a lot of people that I know who are Dutch are nice people. So it is a really good opportunity to consider for those who are, wondering about options out there and what you have available out there. Once again, I'm going to stop my share now so we can all see each other. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone from Yovema who is here today, who made this webinar possible. One of the most interactive we've had. I think very, very good, very useful. I think it was very interesting. For those people who have not been able to join, they'll be able to watch the video. And of course, I'll let you know when it goes live as well. I don't know if you'd like to say anything else from my end. I want to thank you one more time, and hopefully we'll find some people who want to join you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea. I think we from Yovema also want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to provide some information about our program and about working in the Netherlands. So thank you for that. And I also want to thank everyone who's attending the webinar and everyone who is watching the webinar. So thank you for that, and hopefully we'll keep in touch.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and your lunch break as well. See you on the next one.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.